So, hello again, guys, and welcome to part two of the vertical stab, where silver parts become green parts. That was a really fun process doing all that. I've sprayed car parts and stuff in the past using sort of rattle cans, but I've never used a spray gun before. So it was quite fun actually going on the adventure of sort of understanding how all the controls work on it and do some experiments and yeah, finally actually putting paint on some of these parts, and it came out really nice. I'm really happy with the finish on the parts. In terms of, I think from factory when you buy the quick build sort of components, at least from pictures I've seen, I've never seen this stuff up close. The coat of primer is quite a light coat. You can almost see the part underneath. It's like quite translucent. But so for me, the first coat was one of those kind of light translucent coats. But I went over it again with the second coat just to really kind of build the protection. And it wasn't too thick. I don't think it'll add too much weight or cause any issues. So yeah, really happy with how the parts came out. Really, really nice. And yeah, then it's just a case of cracking on and riveting, and there you go. It's a very addictive, very rewarding process. Just going through and riveting all these pieces that you've been working on for weeks and weeks together, So, of course, as I sort of mentioned, when it comes to riveting, obviously checking your work, making sure that you've got sufficient diameter on the shop head and, head thickness and all that stuff. And here's a close up. There you go. I think I probably pressed that one a little bit more after that. But yeah, quite a fun, rewarding process, seeing all these bits come together. In terms of the holes, everything lined up really nicely. I think there was maybe one or two holes where I had to kind of encourage the rivet through just because of that little bit of paint that's now in the hole essentially. But no, everything went together quite nicely. I obviously made a mistake there, but yeah, I'd rather it was slightly on the tighter side than on the sort of loose, sloppy side. So yeah, everything fit together really nice, and it's just a case of going through, like I said, encouraging those rivets in and making the occasional mistake, as you can see. And yeah, it all came out really nice, which you'll see shortly. It was also quite tricky, some of the angles on some of these rivets. You're trying to kind of, you've got the different heads to use on the pneumatic squeezer, so it's just a bit tricky sometimes trying to find the right angle. But it worked out okay, like I said, and the final result I was really, really pleased with. And subsequently, when the inspector came and checked all this out, he was really, he said I did a good job, so I'm quite happy. Quite happy. Twiglets, love some twiglets. Then the ribs. So the ribs weren't too difficult to get together. Again, it's a bit fiddly. Sometimes, you got all the different yolks, and some can reach, some can't. It's just a matter of, I prefer, at this stage at least, I'd prefer to use the squeezer over the over the gun and a bucking bar. So it's just a case of trying the squeezer and the different yolks and just seeing, can I get in there? Can I not get in there? Browsing around on the RV10 wiki to see if anyone's got any suggestions, or whether it was just a case of, I think in the end there was some I could get with the squeezer, and then I think there was one or two which it was just impossible. And then there I am with the gun and the bucking bar, as you can tell. So I think in these kind of early stages, I think I'm more confident with the squeezer because the squeezer's doing. There's a lot less that can go wrong. As long as you're lined up and it's all straight, you just hit the trigger and boom, your rivet's done. Well, almost. But the rivet gun and the bucking bar, at this stage I wasn't too confident, so yeah, I kind of avoided it where I could. But where you certainly cannot avoid using the rivet gun and the bucking bar is the skin now. So I stuck all the skin on. And I'm pretty sure I then took it all back off at some point because I needed the inspector to come and check out that skeleton before putting the skin on. But here's a clip of me putting it on anyway, just for your enjoyment. And yeah, so the inspector came, had a look. Like I said, he was really happy with it. He also checked out the rudder as well before I closed that off. So yeah, as I said, here we are now. Now this is a situation where I've seen people doing this by themselves, and I don't know how, because honestly, like, it's, there you go, yeah, just one at a time, just working through, I don't know how many rivets we did, but quite a few rivets. But yeah, I see people doing this by themselves, where they've got one arm in, and they're reaching deep into the part under the skin, and then the other arm on top holding, what is quite a heavy gun, and you're trying to hold it at 90 degrees, and you're trying to not have it wander. Honestly, I considered doing it myself, but I thought, you know what, no, I'll just call a friend who's got some experience. Well, some is an understatement, but who's got experience in building aircraft, so just got him along, and I was doing the donkey work with the bucking bar, crawling in and trying to reach into these deep sort of spaces, and he was on top with a rivet gun. And I'm way happier that I did it this way. It came out really, really nice, and again, really pleased. And yeah, like I said, here's a snippet of where I'm sort of reaching in to get in. So yeah, it took a little time, took a lot of time actually, to get through and do all those rivets. You have to follow the manual quite strictly as well, because it tells you, it tells you expressly, do this line, then that line, and then this line, and then that part to this part, because otherwise you're going to trap yourself and you won't be able to, reach with the bucking bar. So really important to, read once, twice, maybe even 3 times, and just make sure you're doing the right bloody thing and that it makes sense. Because all that will happen is you end up drilling everything out again, and it's a bit of a pain in the arse and a waste of time. But I think at this stage we'd managed to complete all the rivets on the skin. So he went off home, and I finished everything else that I could sort of do by myself. Again, you can see me using the squeezer, kind of cheating and using the squeezer everywhere. But no, it came out really nice, really, really nice. Just slowly worked through. Using the pneumatic squeezer upside down like that is a bit, it's really heavy actually, and especially when you've got a big fat, heavy-duty air hose attached to the whole thing. I might get a kind of lighter air hose just to sort of try and reduce the weight. But when you're holding the squeezer upside down like that, it's a little bit awkward. You've got the I think it's called the mandrel, the pit that comes out, coming out but upside down into the part from above. It's a bit odd, but you sort of get used to it. You kind of gently press the squeezer, it comes out, and then you line it all up. When you're happy, you just press the trigger all the way, and boom, your rivet set. So yeah, just a case of methodically just alternating, every other rivet, and then in between, and so on. And yeah, all came out really nice. It was quite back-breaking actually. You can see me sort of leaning forward on the chair like that. It's probably not the best position for this, but not sure how else to do it at this stage, but it worked out. And I think these are the last couple of rivets now before all of the work is done. You'll notice that the bottom bracket's missing, but that's because I need to get a new one. But other than that, the vertical stabilizer's done. Yeah, like I said, it came out really nice. Really smooth. Wasn't much, if any, deformation around the rivets themselves from bucking and riveting. But that's that, guys. That's the vertical stab. So next, you'll see a bit of the rudder. Thanks for watching.